You're listening to Style as Identity.
Yes, we're your hosts. I'm Frankie Aquazum.
And I'm Lola Quintero. So, is starting a brand on your vision board?
Or do you just love fashion and want us to talk nerdy to you?
Either way, we got you.
Join us as we get into aspects of the trade that you might not find online. We're uncovering truths from the founders and designers daring to build within their vision and values.
These brands, they're shifting our understanding of the style status quo. And the more time we spend with them, the more we expect from what we wear and the brands that sell them.
So, we're glad you're here.
Let's do this. Okay. Frankie, reflections. Reflecting on patents.
Patents, yeah.
Patents, innovators. Reflecting on the innovators. So we've interviewed Evelyn and Bobbie, underwire bra replacement, Crave, pleasure jewelry, for them that sell binders and the first ever jackless strap. Mine's coming in the mail this week. And CuteCircuit, 2-time Best Inventions Award by Time Magazine, inventing the hug shirt and sound shirt. For anyone that didn't listen to those, maybe go back and listen to those and then hear Frankie and I talk. But if you are just already serenaded by our voices, then, join us and then back it up after that. My favorite thing about these brands that really came through is, patents are like this hard concept where you get awarded a patent pending, but what they really do is grant us permission to be more ourselves. And that is a truly feeling, just rooted in our feelings there. And I love the kind of juxtaposition of that. But we asked a lot of brands why they got a patent, if they felt like it was worth it, advice for other brands. And now that we've sat with all of our learnings, I'd like to know, Frankie, you're a brand. Do you get a patent? Yes or no, and why?
I'm going to go with the option you didn't offer, which is it depends. I know.
Okay, same. It's same.
I think even within the same conversation, multiple of the brands, Crave, For Them, Evelyn and Bobbie, CuteCircuit, like they would even go back and forth. I think they were fully rooted in the fact that they did get patents and no one seemed to regret it. And it was almost like we're here now, might as well.
And we didn't interview anyone that didn't get one.
Oh,
right?
this is a learning lesson. It's like when you do
our
research.
Journalism isn't finished.
It's not finished
it's
here.
Not finished.
No, every stone has not been turned.
No, we're biased.
Yeah, we just did that.
We just did that.
This is, you know what? This is like introducing a whole new, sorry everybody, but a whole new concept for future ones where it's like the theme and then the anti-theme, just so that you're like getting both, especially when it's so functional like patents. Because then I think talking to brands who don't have it expands our view too. But to your point, I think that the part about the patent that made me feel most strongly about it was when we were talking to For Them. And we were talking about like the safety that it introduces for people who might be choosing between the original or one of the originals and a dupe. That was what really got it for me, because I totally get why you would get a patent and protect your intellectual property, protect your ideas. I also think it's cool where patents can also serve you as a form of research when you're going into it. Like by knowing what patents exist, you kind of know where the market gap is and where you're coming in. So it actually is kind of self-serving before it even starts being official. And you can then say this is claim the idea or claim the design. But when we were talking with For Them,
M. Chadwick and Kylo Freeman also started the brand.
Yes. And they mentioned, like M mentioned the fact that, they're binding technique and technology. I'm going to call it technology. I don't think it has to be wired or plugged in for it to be technology. Could be unsafe if someone were to try to dupe them still with the right intent, but not the right output. And it could be unsafe for a wearer. That kind of hit me. I said, yeah, sometimes patents are also good for the consumer. They're not just brand serving. That being said, yeah, there is this flexibility. You said this, the raincoat with holes in it, that I think we've dropped every episode because it's just like a bar. It might you still might be spending, you still might be deciding, do I go after this person?
Right.
That's a horrible language. Do I
defend my IP?
Mm. Do I have the time for that? Even though the patent's standing there, you still have to execute the patent. It's like not a living, breathing thing. You have to like use it for it to. Yeah. So yeah, what do you think?
Well, I had never thought about patents helping to bring safety to the end user before M had said that. But it even made me think of like, Evelyn and Bobbie's bras, it also can provide safety to the person, physical, but then also even just mindset of, let's say I buy that bra because I want to exist comfortably and not have to worry, and then I get a dupe by accident and it doesn't deliver on that brand promise, and I'm then brought back to my expectations of like, oh, I guess this is the best there is, and I guess I just have to continue suffering. And so it could even like affect a mentality around what we deserve to use and wear. So
Safety at all levels.
safety at all levels. And actually, while acknowledging we haven't interviewed anyone that could get a patent and has decided not to, I actually would say it does depend, but that I think everyone should get it if they can.
If you can. That's also
can.
the other thing, because there's a financial aspect
Right.
to it.
Right.
Sometimes you can't get one.
All right. And time and money are
time,
finite.
yeah.
You'd be like, oh,
Resourcing.
do I launch another product or work on marketing, or do I start to fill out patent applications?
Can't do it all.
Can't do it all.
Yeah. So that's another thing. I 100% agree with you. That's part of it. It depends.
And I loved hearing CuteCircuit. She was like, my trademark gets me far. So you could also do trademarks. And even Evelyn and Bobbie was like, make sure it's all over your social media so no one has to be like, oh, we didn't know. So I think there's other ways to protect yourself that I would think the answer is do all of it. And then if you can't do all of it, do some of it.
Do some. Yeah.
some of
Evelyn
it.
Bobbie also has is it the seal in the bra that
The EV core.
The EV core. Yeah. So
Mhm.
and I appreciate when I buy something and it has something like that on the inside, or just something that lets you know, like, this is authentically what you purchased.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like almost like the transparency within the product. And so that's, again, it's all over social media, but it's also on the product itself.
Yeah. So my answer, I think, would actually be yes, get the patent. And if you can't, then do the other things you can to protect yourself while balancing, running a business and doing all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lola, you kind of already said this about how you were saying safety didn't really come into our minds when we first started thinking about talking about this. What's another thing that your mind was changed about it or expanded with regards to patents?
So one thing I was thinking about is CuteCircuit got awarded Best Invention by Time Magazine twice. And their hug shirt brings joy and comfort to people. The sound shirt can also bring joy, but can also serve people that are hard of hearing going to a sports match or a concert and to feel what people feel. So very affirming. But the first award was for this hug shirt. And it got me thinking that out of the products we talked to, out of the brands, Crave is pleasure jewelry and it's affirming. But for the bra by Evelyn and Bobbie, and for the binder and jackless strap from For Them, those are matters of safety and quality of life in these really niche ways, but important ways. And I wondered, I just did the thought exercise of, would these other brands win that award? Are they too niche? Would they not? And why wouldn't they? And For Them and Evelyn and Bobbie are so deeply rooted in safety and liberation. And Crave pleasure jewelry is category creating, right? Pleasure jewelry was not a term before at all. And so these things are not for everyone. Does it make it less momentous?
What do you think? I feel like you think something.
I would hope that they would get awards like that, but I don't think we often see things get awards like that, probably because they are not for the masses. But if anyone is listening and they're like, actually, no, please let me know, because
we want to know.
It's a true question that I just was marinating on after reflecting.
Yeah. And also, what are the other, I know to your point, Time Magazine is a pretty well-recognized one, but what are the other forms of awards for innovation in those spaces? And so if you're listening, we also, hit us up about that, because I truly don't see many others. I know there are, and maybe that's your point. Maybe there are within that niche pocket. And so those people would know about it. But it is very different to be recognized on such a stage like Time Magazine. I think it just changes how people see what you're making.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, when I was doing research on who to interview for this episode, fashion brands and entities that had patents, there wasn't one go-to place. The research was really broad and wide. And then also, we love to have international guests, and patents are typically national, and they have different processes and all that stuff. So even just like trying to navigate the landscape of international patents or, patents by country was a learning experience in itself, because we don't apply the same definition depending on where we are.
Yeah. And who was talking about that? I think when we were talking with Crave, we were talking about how maybe we did talk about that, how the patent was limited to here because there would be other brands popping up internationally doing the same things, even though it's not the same. That's the whole thing. But posing as the same. So yeah, it is pretty complicated. But to your point from earlier, start where you can. And then when you start to see like who your customer is, where they're purchasing, maybe you can figure out like, okay, how does my patent, like how do I now expand the reasons that I went after this patent and pursued it to apply to where I'm actually showing up?
I am hanging on to a word you just said. We used to call it copycats. Now we're all about the dupe. They're
Dupes.
posers.
Yeah.
They are posers.
Yeah. They're all, yeah. It's insane though how accepting actually it's not insane. Everyone's just trying to keep a buck in their pocket, but like the dupes, like we're not isolating the dupes. We're not ostracizing the dupes. We're looking at the dupes like, I might have to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think it's tough because we talk to these brands who are on the other side of it, which are like, no, I just worked so hard on this. And that's also just not even the tip of the iceberg in terms of describing everything that goes into what they do. And then as a consumer, you're like, I don't know, like the dollar sign and how much is next to it or whatever the currency is. Come on now.
Right.
If it's lower, I'm already a little bit more
And it's not a matter of safety.
Yes, and it's not a matter of safety.
Right. I mean, everyone, yeah, it's just trying to make it.
Yeah. And even sometimes like to your point, sometimes it is a matter of safety and people are like it's not clear that one is not as safe if they're like copying the description and it's just tough. I need a dupe filter.
Dupe filter. To just make educated understanding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like, girl, if you want to rock the dupe, look, I'm not giving anyone permission, but I'm also not taking it away. Yeah. To your point, it's like it needs to be clear what you're getting and what you're not.
Yeah. And who you might be hurting.
Yeah, that's true. Ooh, okay.
People, brands, or even like environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
can you imagine if we started listing on the products? Some people do that, but I think they only do it when they can deliver good news. They're like, these are our factories. You can go and visit them. Here's the address, versus people who are like, here's a bag. It comes in 20 colors and it's $8. Don't ask us how.
Another theme that came across, every brand applied the most rigorous user testing. And I think it's because they kind of approach product creation from a product design mentality. And that inherently has a user in mind and I wanted to talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, yes to that. I thought about this when we were talking to CuteCircuit, bit of a tongue twister. And you're right. The way in which they approach this, they're already researching just from the get-go. And something around like, it almost feels to me, and this is, again, reaction, right? Everybody go do your research. But as we're reflecting, do you think that having a patent kind of sets the bar for yourself? Like, and this hang with me here. Like, they have this patent. It is the best. It's like a very unique solution that they have, a very unique approach to that solution. And like intrinsically, these brands are now in this seat of part of defending a patent is also always being the best at how you deliver your patent. And I'm not saying, how you deliver what is patented. I'm not saying they wouldn't do this anyway. I think all the brands we talk to would do it patent in a row. But it is interesting how it puts them in this mindset of like, they've already been doing so much research, and now to make sure that they're delivering on their promise and that uniqueness that they offer, they're doing insane amounts of use. And it's not just like, let's send out a market research survey or let's get a third party to do it for us. Like, these people are talking to the consumers themselves, and everyone was in the tens at least, and over like multiple periods of time. So I do think that, to your point, like being in the mindset of approaching that also puts you you're maybe using the same muscles as someone who is also going to do a ton of user research.
Yeah, totally. So like T from Crave Jewelry, she said, there's inventors and there's designers. And as a designer, I think my approach is inherently intertwined with how it's used. And I think that's why she was so rooted in user testing. But then, I wouldn't say that M or Kylo from For Them were inherently designers, but I would say they were so already the existing customer that they saw the same value and, a different way in. But all the brands we talked to were like, oh, the value in this collaboration with community is inherently intertwined with the usability of this thing that I feel so passionate about making.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not even a crutch. Like they are just, it's the environment within which you create. Like, it's not like, oh, we need to necessarily, we can't make decisions without user testing. It's more that user testing is part of like the thread of the product. Like, you don't have the product if you don't have the user. And so that's how they kind of,
Yeah.
And so it's so interesting.
It's reminds me of like years ago, early in marketing. This is not the most captivating analogy, but when I used to work with copywriters, and they'd be like, let's say we're talking about a software, we have all these features and we do this. And then I'd be like, no, it's not about what we have. It's what it lets the user do. And once that flip is switched in someone's mind to be like, oh yeah, like it's for like, that's, if someone doesn't see themselves in it or how it benefits them, they're not going to buy it. They won't find use in it. And you can't go back from that. I think. You see the power. Power in tech marketing, product marketing.
Well, what do you want to leave listeners with / what do you want to leave on?
Okay. I want to leave, my takeaway is Evelyn and Bobbie. She was saying they're creating something new and her team is up late doing research to see if another patent exists. And she was like, if you have a patent or you care about your own designs and innovation, walk it both ways. Make sure you're not stepping on somebody else. And I just thought that was a nice thing to drop in of it is so, it is fulfilling the ego to create something new and to do this, but to really have that mutual respect across other creators. I was like a nice little thing to just keep top of mind of in your own creations.
Yeah. And we did related to this, we did have playful, no, I wouldn't say playful debate, but just a little bit of, we all recognize the tension in multiple conversations across the brands around, you're creating for a group that's underserved, and yet you're also creating a situation where other people can't use.
You're gatekeeping.
Yeah, you're gatekeeping. And so there's also that of understanding, if you're going to go through all of this and put a lot of thought into something, in a way, you're also protecting yourself from like the bigger brands that could literally just at the speed of light recreate what you did. Even though no one can ever recreate what you did. You know what I'm saying? Like we're all unique. That's what we are.
Unique New York.
Yes. But we did recognize in that conversation with Evelyn Bobbie that you're not creating in a silo. Like, you're still creating among other creators who might also be trying to approach the same problems. And so just being thoughtful about that.
It's okay to protect yourself. But
yeah.
What stood out for you? What do you want to end on?
They were all so different, and yet there were still some things that remain true. And so this is not related to the theme, but it does remind me of the importance of innovating in community. Like, I think oftentimes innovation means that you're doing something different. And so it becomes competitive because you need to be different. You need to make sure no one else is encroaching on your market. And when we talk to all of them, they could technically be each other's peers and, help. I'm not suggesting that they do this, but also maybe they will, who knows? But I more mean like, you don't always have to look in your industry to find someone that you can build with. And I don't necessarily mean that you need to be working on the same thing, but you can probably just trade what you've learned and save each other some time, because they're also so approaching such different problems, but there were still so many points where I was like, that's exactly what we talked to T about, innovating in community is important. And I love when we find these overlaps across different brands.
That's so good. And we love learning about brands with patents. So if any of you out there know of any, please DM us. We'd love to dive in and learn more about them. So
100%.
Don't gatekeep,
Please don't.
but protect yourself.
Yes. Don't gatekeep, but
Don't gatekeep, but also don't leave your gate wide open. The whole, you don't want the whole neighborhood coming.
don't gatekeep. Share the code selectively. That is still gatekeeping. Oh, God. Okay, bye.
Hey everybody, Lola here. Thanks for listening. Style as Identity is part of the Majority Group, which is focused on spotlighting and supporting the brands that make us feel seen. In addition to this podcast, we offer business and strategy advice to brands, have an investment arm, and more. Basically, we want to see you win and do what we can to make it happen. For more info on us, head to themajoritygroup.com. Love ya.